Hello and welcome to the Sprout News Recap. This is a recording of a previously live show. And for our show, we get the suggestions for our headlines and the things we talk about and say from our audience, who we call our independent correspondents. So for this show that you're about to see, we had suggestions which included kamikaze self-detonating squirrels spotted in London. We had a question come in, which was cat treats or breakfast cereal, which is better for you? We had animals suggested. We had honey badgers and koalas. We also had green paint as a suggestion. And we had objects for our commercial segment. We had flip-flops, a toilet brush. We also had photos sent in for use during the show. And we had a title for our film review section, which was Sourdough Bread, The Chronicles 2. And so as the show goes on, see if you can spot any of these suggestions. And of course, the biggest suggestion of all was our main headline, which was Fighting Kangaroos. So big thank you to our independent correspondents, Gabby, Anne, Catherine, and Diana, for sending in all those headlines, all those tidbits that we use during the show. And if you would like to be an independent correspondent, join us live on Sundays. But for now, enjoy the Sprout News. Yes, hello and welcome to the Sprout News at 7 o'clock-ish. And it is with a heavy heart that I bring you news of impending doom. Yes, it has been brought to our attention by independent correspondents that the kangaroos have taken to the streets, they've taken to the farms, they've taken to the fields, they've even taken to the International Space Station, and the kangaroos are fighting. Now, at first, people thought this was just an innocent jape amongst the animals, but it seems that it's having huge ramifications for the entire planet, and it looks like we're facing our last days in this world. So to bring you all the information about this unfolding event, we're going to go to reporters around the world. We've got experts in the studio, and hopefully we can bring you some comfort in these dark, dark times. So first, we're going to go to our reporter, Pete, who is out there in the field getting the latest on this story. So Pete, can you hear me?
I can hear you, James. Yes, I am here.
Oh, watch out.
Oh, yes, it's okay. I'm fully aware. As long as I do not speak too loud or move too suddenly, I will be fine. Behind me, there are a herd of kangaroos. I believe that is the correct term. I will be speaking to experts later to find out the terminology. But here we see a gang. Formerly, these were widely regarded as funny and interesting creatures. They're now creatures that we should be scared of. They are fighting. This is gang here. They're not fighting at the moment, but they were earlier scouring this field, looking for a fight, taking on anything that came near them. I saw them take on a gang of koalas, and the koalas didn't stand a chance. I saw them running off into trees. I've never seen koalas run, but today I have seen that.
And I understand if they can't find a fight, if the koalas don't satisfy them, they come after humans, cars, buildings.
There have been many reports of them coming after people, indeed cars, buildings. As you said, there have been reports of them in the International Space Station. They seem to be everywhere. We previously thought koalas and kangaroos and all of these creatures were based only in Australia or occasionally zoos. This is Richmond Park. This is a global problem that's happening.
The studio, as you know, is only 100 or so meters from Richmond.
Indeed. I did want to go to Australia to recover this, but there wasn't time. And it turns out they were in Richmond Park anyway, so I just walked here with the crew.
Okay, well, I'll be having studio managers check the doors, keep them locked.
I would, because they have a hefty kick. If they want to kick a door down, that's not a problem.
So, Pete, I hope you get somewhere safe and can bring us more on this story as soon as possible.
I will be bringing you all the news that I possibly can in the next 20 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Peter. We'll be back to you later. Well, while Pete brings us all the news he can, I'm going to bring you all the news I can by speaking to an expert who we have in the studio. And they are Dr. Marsupial, who are here in the undecorated part of the studio. So, Dr. Marsupial, first of all, is it gang or herd, flock?
So the correct term for groups of kangaroos is troop or mob, as I prefer to call them. So a mob of kangaroos. I mean, it's you know, I've been studying kangaroo behavior for decades now, and it's nothing like this has ever happened before. Although it's not altogether surprising, we think that what started all of this was the decision by Australian government to ban kangaroos from all national pictures, and you know, they're no longer the symbol, you know, the animal of Australia, and they didn't take that very well, and they quite justly, I think, decided that, well, if they don't want us, we're just going to leave. So they've emigrated and are now immigrants in the rest of the world and not behaving very well.
So, Doctor, if it wasn't a surprise to you, why did we have no warning of the impending doom?
Well, we did warn, you know, governments and the United Nations and whatnot, but then it was their decision not to spread the panic. So we knew months and months ago, as a matter of fact, but you know, the information was not in our hands.
So I'm guessing, is there anything we can do about this? Is there any way we can protect ourselves or our planet?
We're trying. We keep studying them. We keep trying to see. We've been working a lot, looking at treats. You know, whether cat treats or breakfast cereal are a way of calming them down. Sometimes they work, but it is not confirmed as a scientific discovery yet. So we can't yet say for sure if that is a valuable solution. Also, I think it's getting more dangerous now because we have some reports that they've started to recruit. Squirrels are some of their first recruits, and they're turning them into kamikaze, and just having them detonate themselves in the middle of crowds. So that's obviously quite a problem, and we are worried that next on are going to be honey badgers, next on the list of recruits. So we
honey
need
badgers.
to...
Oh, sorry.
No, please go.
Honey badgers, of course, have a much bigger detonation range than a squirrel.
Of course, and that would be quite an issue.
I know, you have to laugh because it's...
I mean, it's the end of the world. What
it's
else can you do?
There's nothing we could do, yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're going to keep investigating this story, and I am determined, viewers, that if there is a way to save the world, then Sprout News will be the first to bring that to you.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Marsupial, will you stay with us? And we're going to come back to you later and discuss updates as they come in.
I will.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Marsupial. Well, of course, we spared no expense on this news report, and we have our top reporter out there in the field ready to bring you the latest on this. So, John, can you hear me?
James, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, John.
James, yes, it's true. Kangaroos are threatening our very existence. And Dave Hinsby, our kangaroo expert, has confirmed it. Yes, he said the kangaroos are hungry. They're coming at us from all directions. And the main reason why they're so angry, and no one has found this out apart from Dave, is the fact that Skippy was never renewed on Netflix. Yes, Skippy, the 70s program they always threatened to renew it and it never came back. And the Kangaroos have said that was a last straw. And they've stowed away on planes with glasses on and hats and gone all across the world. And now, James, I have to tell you, they're congregated with the squirrels and honey badgers around the White House. And if they got in, They're going to press the button, James. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, John. Yes, Netflix has a lot to answer for, as always, on this matter. So we're going to have to go to a commercial break because even though it is the end of the world, we still need to pay for the electrics. So we'll be back after these words from our sponsor.
This is Vicky. She's got an insect problem. Has this ever happened to you? Well, now there's a solution. Flip-flops. Put them on your feet and you can run much more comfortably. Enjoy the end of the world, Vicky.
Yes, do go out there and buy your flip-flops now. They're good for running, for insect infestations, and for days on the beach. Oh, I'm just hearing that there is some breaking news coming in from one of our independent correspondents. And we're going to go to that story any moment. I've got it coming up here on my auto cue. Prince Philip has finally come out as gay. This is a breaking news story. I think it's remarkable that it took the end of the world to bring this out of him, but I really respect him in his choice. And Dr. Marsupial, you're still with us. Do you have any words to say on this new revelation?
Yes, it's, I mean, it was about time, to be honest. Everyone knew. So I'm happy for him. I'm happy for them.
Excellent. We're all happy. Let's hope he lives long enough through this apocalypse to enjoy his newfound freedom.
Yes. And we all know that kangaroos are quite friendly to the LGBTQ plus community.
Really? So, okay. So we're all doomed apart from the LGBTQ plus.
Oh, well, they'll definitely be the last ones to go.
Okay, good to know. Thank you, Dr. Marsupial. Let's go to John for an update on this shocking revelation from the Buckingham Palace.
Well, James, just when we thought we heard everything tonight with the fighting kangaroos, yes, Prince Philip has come out as gay. And he said, why not? It's the end of the world. I've done most things in my life, and now I want to come out as gay. And the one thing he's requesting is that the village people reforms and he becomes part of them before the world blows up. Let's do it together, village people. If you're listening, phone up the palace and get the prince involved. Back to you, James.
Yes, thank you, John. I'm happy to go out singing with the village people on my screen. So fingers crossed that they and Prince Philip join forces. Now, it's not all apocalypse here. We've also got Dave out there roving, bringing you the voice of the people right now in the world. Let's get the opinion of humanity. So over to you, Dave.
Hey, man. I'm roving outside my front door. I've been looked out, but I do have people here to talk to me. And today, our topic is the toilet brush. And fortunately, I did bring my toilet brush outside. Here it is. And they're not as popular as they used to be.
Oh, that's a nice one. That's a nice one.
Oh, you like the toilet brush?
Yeah, that's a nice one.
What makes a good toilet brush?
I mean, stiff brush, right? Nice, comfortable handle.
Yeah.
Stick it in there. Get it in there.
And how long do you think a toilet brush should last?
Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? We're all going to die.
Oh, that's true. Is there anyone else would like to talk to us about the toilet brush, or even help me get into my house?
Well, I'm a professional breaker and enterer.
Oh, great! Could you try and do your magic on this?
Yeah. There we go.
It's still locked.
Just hit it harder.
I think that's it, James. Back to the studio.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Enlightening as always. Stiffness of your toilet brush, very important. Longevity, less so. So speaking of longevity, of all things really, let's go back to Pete, who has an update for us on the story of the kangaroo apocalypse.
Yes, James, that is absolutely true. I'm actually here in London Zoo. This is the kangaroo enclosure, and I'm here with Dr. Humphrey Bumfrey, who is an expert on kangaroos. In fact, he's the resident kangaroo expert of the zoo.
Yes, I'm very concerned about all of this. It's very unlike them. I've been keeping an eye on the kangaroos, and they've been acting very strangely. And then the reports from around the world of their actions, I'm keeping a great eye out of the ones in my enclosures.
Well, to be honest, there's always been boxing kangaroos. I've seen pictures and things on clips on the internet of kangaroos, boxing gloves on, fighting each other. So there've always been that sort of fighting element in kangaroos, surely.
Yes, there is a fighting element in kangaroos, but I try to downplay that for the children. Otherwise, we would all run in fear, as one of my greatest fears is the kangaroo, which is why I've been working with them, both for their benefit and for my own.
Well, that's very interesting. But now, of course, we are running in fear. People are running in fear because they're out forming gangs. The ones here seem quite docile in the zoo. Are they staying here, or are they planning to get out?
Oh yes, the ones you can see lying down I've already hit with tranquilizer darts. That's how I can keep a good eye on them.
That's very, very sound. Do you have enough tranquilizer darts for every kangaroo in the world?
No, unfortunately not. We are going to most likely all die by a kangaroo, but I know I'm going to keep my darts very close to my chest.
Wow. So it seems every man for himself, man, woman, and if you can get hold of your own darts, please do. That's the expert opinion. Protect yourselves.
Yes, you heard it from me.
James.
Excellent. I will be protecting myself. I will be arming myself with darts very shortly, and I hope you all at home as well are doing the same. Now, there is good news amongst all of this. The film industry is still going strong, and we have a movie review with a special guest director, and we're going to go over to Vicky in a moment, who's going to introduce the director and the movie, and I really hope you get to see it. So over to you, Vicky. So Vicky,
yes, sorry. Hello, James, and welcome everybody to this week's film review. This week we have a guest with us that is just making its first production, and this is going to be big. I believe so. I've seen the movie yesterday and it was absolutely amazing. Today we have Luke Sorba with us, and he's going to talk to us about his movie Sourdough Bread, The Chronicles 2. Hello, Luke.
Hello, Vicky. Yes, it's my first movie.
It is.
Sourdough Bread, The Chronicles 2. I've decided to make a sequel without ever making the first film, because I've always thought The Godfather Part 2 was better than the first one.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you about. I found it fascinating to see the movie that is actually the sequel to something that no one's ever seen.
Don't worry. The Chronicles 3 will be told in flashback, and it will be all about what happened before the Chronicles 1.
Of course.
Look, that's a little teaser of what's going to be in the Chronicles 3.
And I can't quite make up what it is. Is it one of the monsters from the film, or is it a new entity that is going to be the central point of the film?
Well, what it is that in this post-apocalyptic world, basically there are no living creatures, so they're all sculpted out of sourdough by the last remaining human, who was a candidate on Bake Off, who was in the BBC bunker at the time of the apocalypse, and when he emerged, he was all alone, but he still had the ingredients and a head full of ideas.
Wow, that's just fascinating. I have to say, this premise is just enthralling. Would you consider yourself a foodie?
Oh, I love food. I've been eating ever since I was born, and I intend to continue eating until the day I die. Now, my film won't be released in cinemas, but you can watch it on your own, in your own kind of all-weather cinema, which you see over there.
Yes, I've seen that they were designed after food boxes, those containers you use to keep your food warm for.
That's exactly what they're modeled on. And so the experience of watching my film isn't just watching a sequel that never had a part one, but it's watching it on your own in essentially something that's a cross between a duvet and a toaster. So
Wow.
it's very much an immersive experience.
And so, did you ever think throughout the project that this was a bold move for a first feature film?
To be honest, Vicky, I never at any stage of the project thought anything. I just got on with it.
Wow. Well, it's a very instinctive film, and it shows, especially in that scene. I want to ask about that particular scene with the duvet. I found it fascinating, really riveting. How did it come up to you?
Thank you ever so much. So in the scene that you probably remember the most, my character wears some kind of sort of pink dressing gown, but what we've done is we've CGI'd the humans out of the film. So essentially we have animals made of bread, and instead of humans, we just have their clothes that they would be wearing, because there aren't any humans, because it takes place in the apocalypse, which, by the way, because we've got a real one happening, has given me a wonderful idea for marketing.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you ever so much, Luke, for being with us today and talking to us about your new film, Sourdough Bread, The Chronicles 2. I can only encourage people to just rush into whatever cinema is near them and go check it out, because it's going to be huge. Thank you so much.
Get into those cinemas now. My film won't be released until next year, so just watch whatever's on in the cinema. It's all good.
Yes, and get yourself one of those food bags to watch it properly.
Oh, right, yes. Thank you, Vicky. Good
Thank
luck.
you, Luke. Thank you. Back to you, James.
Yes, thank you, Vicky and Luke. I am particularly looking forward to seeing that movie, if possible. And so back to our main story, which is that kangaroos are fighting, and they've given up fighting each other and started fighting us, and they've turned honey badgers and squirrels into ticking time bombs, literally. And basically it's the end of all life as we know it. We've been recommended to get darts to defend ourselves, so I'm doing that. And we've got a final update from Pete. So come in, please, Pete.
Yes, James, I'm glad. I hope you can hear me. Good news was the budget came through, but there wasn't enough time to go to Australia. So I'm up here in the International Space Station, where there had been reports of kangaroos. My ship came up, and the remaining astronauts and cosmonauts who were here went down. So I'm up here alone. But so far, there's been very little signs of kangaroos. So maybe this is possibly the safest place there is to be. That's all I really want to say. Is it's obviously the danger on Earth is there, but up here I am perfectly safe and able to report in a very safe environment, and so it's good news after all.
Pete, I don't know if you can hear me, but there seems to be just look over your shoulder. There's if you look the other.
I've been told that it's going to be in 6 months before the next shuttle comes up to relieve me. Back to the studio.
Okay, well, thank you, Pete. So Pete may be the first among the Sprout team to experience the apocalypse firsthand. Well, there's not much more to say. Let's go to Alistair for a thought for the day in these difficult times.
Hello there. Can you ever cry too much? Can you laugh too hard? Can paint be too green? No.
Yes, do go out there and paint your houses green whilst buying flip-flops, getting your darts. There's lots to do before the apocalypse. So enjoy your last few moments on Earth. And if the world doesn't end in the next few weeks, do come back next Sunday where we'll have some more news for you. And that's it for the Sprout News. We didn't have time to talk about the fact that geese have been given travel restrictions. That's hitting them hard, and that it's important to stick your hand down your trousers and play with your balls. We didn't have time to talk about that. And we didn't have time to talk about sticky cinema floors, bags of raisins, or using toilet blocks as suppositories. But hopefully we'll have time to give you more news next week on Sprout News. Thank you for joining us. Good evening. Very much for joining us for the Sprout News. You have been a wonderful audience and your suggestions have been amazing. Please give a round of applause for the people you have seen performing today. You have seen Pete. You have seen Carlotta. You have seen John. You have seen Vicky. You've seen Alistair. You've seen Dave. Yay, thank you for the applause. You've seen our special guest, Luke Sorba. You've seen Gregory, and I think that's everyone. If I've missed anyone, please come on. Thank you very much for joining us. Feel free to turn on your camera if you want to join in the applause and the swaying. Thank you, Anne. And a big round of applause to you all in the audience for all of your contributions and suggestions. We can't do it without our independent correspondents. And thank you to Luke for joining us as our special guest director. Luke is a phenomenal improviser. And do you want to say anything, Luke, before we depart?
I'm going to make that film.
Thank you for watching the Sprout News. I have an update on the kangaroo apocalypse. It turns out that after the kangaroos fought and fought and fought, they were in fact spent, all their energy gone, and now they just want to rest in the sun. And they're not doing any yoga, so don't worry about that. The dogs are still very litigious on that matter. But if you would like to watch the Sprout News, we have regular live shows, and you yourself can become an independent correspondent and contribute to the news headlines and the news stories. Links below in the description.